My name is Marie Merheb. I'm the Director of Social Services at Sylvester. I've been working with GIST patients and supervising social workers that work with GIST patients for the last 5 years. So I'm going to discuss the psychosocial implications of GIST. And we, as social workers, we deal a lot of out-of-the-box kind of situations, which makes it a little bit unique. So this is going to capture the general idea of what we do as social workers. So our focus and scope of practice as social workers at Sylvester is really oncology social work. So what that means is really we provide psychosocial services to patients, families, significant others, facing the impact of potential or actual diagnosis of cancer. So it's not just the patient. We don't work with just the patient. We work with the patient, the family, significant others, and we try to assess the whole picture and to see how we can intervene, how we can help, how can we refer, how can we assess. So in regards to initial diagnoses, what we do see a lot is, and what we measure in regards to NCCN guidelines, is distress. And so whenever someone is first diagnosed with GIST or something, like GIST, or even going through the process of getting diagnosed through GIST is a very difficult process. We tend to think that families are going to be so supportive and friends are going to be so supportive, and we get a lot of mixed reactions in that sense, and kind of like like this little cartoon is like, you can't let this get you down, just push those negative thoughts away. And we know reality-wise it's hard to do that, and that's not something that we just want you to be real, and we don't want you just to push those negative thoughts away, because they're going to come right back. So what we do is we try to measure distress by something called a distress screening tool at Sylvester and for the new patients. And what that measures is different areas of distress. So it measures practical problems, it measures family issues, emotional, kind of like a quick screening process, if you may say. And one of the common things that we find in regards to the initial diagnosis is the financial. You never know what your insurance is truly like unless you start to use it. And we all have figured that out one way or another. And someone will be like, well, how's Blue Cross? I'm like, I don't know. How is Blue Cross? I really don't know how Blue Cross is, because there's 1,000 Blue Cross plans. So, so in regards to co-pays, issues, medications, the bills, your everyday bills, there's going to be a period of time where you're not going to be able to work, you're having surgery, you're going through the initial treatment, all these symptoms that are going on. And we really try to work on, okay, let's take a step back. If you do have these expensive medications, how can we help you? The bills, American Cancer Society is a really good resource. They have they can zone down in your actual zip code in regards to kind of assistance programs and things like that. Life Raft group resource is also very good. But also a lot of patients end up doing GoFundMe accounts to kind of help while you're out from work, and things like that. So it's important to really focus on what really fits to help you financially in that regards. The emotional part is really, really a difficult one. When you're initially diagnosed with GIST, it's kind of like a huge, barrier. You're confused, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're nervous, you don't know what this means. And what we look at is that it's normal and natural to feel that at the beginning of an initial diagnosis, but it's how is this getting better as you see your doctors, as you see your surgeons, as you kind of have a better picture of what this actually means, as you educate yourself? Or is it really getting worse, or more anxious, or more depressed? Is it continuing on? If it does continue on, then we need to look at treatment and what we can do to kind of help. Also the practical part, work, most of us work, and then we get, and then to have the diagnosis, it's a big disruption in work or school. So we look at what can you be doing as far as work and you know, what kind of paperwork, or do you work with in a big company which has benefits? Some people don't work with, you know, have benefits in their work, so it's really, really, it's a very distressing time in that regards, and we try to kind of help support that. You know, the insurance issues are always a big, big problem. We try to help navigate through insurances. Sometimes you have to get your scans at a different place and not the cancer center, or, you know, sometimes it's really, really difficult, and sometimes we have to kind of fight to get, you know, care at the center that you want. And transportation is a big one. A lot of people don't know that their insurance sometimes comes with transportation benefits. And sometimes it's a matter of, oh, you have this insurance, you know, I think you have, I think Humana plans have transportation benefits, and some other plans, United, sometimes have transportation benefits. So I always start by call your insurance, see if you have that benefit as part of your plan. So a lot of people don't know that they do, or they might. And then we talk about the physical, you know, pain, fatigue in regards to the initial diagnosis, having GIST, and, you know, the pain as we've talked about, and all the other symptoms that go on when you're, you know, dealing with the GIST and haven't started treatment. So, you know, talk to your doctor about that. But also, one of the things that we don't commonly talk about is something called palliative care. And, you know, palliative care is something I think is very, very important. One of the things that people confuse palliative care, they think automatically hospice care. And that is not the case. So hospice care is a form of palliative care, but it's not necessarily palliative care. So the trend is more and more for cancer patients in general to receive palliative care early on at the beginning. So this is I got from the American Cancer Society website, and they have a guide to palliative care or supportive care. I hear this a lot from patients. Oh, I have this symptom and that symptom as I'm talking about other things. And well, you just had your doctor's appointment the other day. Did you talk to your doctor about it? No, I didn't. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you? There's a lot of things that happen before they see the oncologist. They're anxious, they sit in the waiting room, they're waiting, they're perseverating of how are my scans, how am I going to be doing, is the treatment working, what are the next steps? So by the time they see their doctor, they're just, you know, all those symptoms of, you know, pain or what have you, or fatigue, kind of just like they don't really care about that. At that time, they just want to like deal with the scans and get out. So a lot of times we don't really they don't really talk about the symptoms with their primary doctor, which we try to encourage as much as possible. But sometimes there's a group of physicians called palliative care physicians, and what they do is they really focus on symptom management. So, so palliative care is for adults and children with serious illness that focus on improving the quality of life for patients and their families, but not intended to cure. So their intention is just to kind of look and provide quality of life. It provides patients of any age or disease stage, so any disease stage, with relief from symptoms, pain, stress. It should be provided along with curative treatment, so it should be paired up with curative treatment. So it's designated to help people live as well as they can for as long as they can, even though they have a serious illness. Palliative care focuses on helping people get relief from symptoms caused by serious illness, things like nausea, pain, fatigue. I know I hear a lot of fatigue in the room, so shortness of breath. Palliative care looks at helping with emotional and spiritual problems as well. So the palliative care physician is really looking at the whole picture. So that's always good from time to kind of get assessed as far as, you know, going to a doctor and really saying, okay, so how are your symptoms? How's depression? How are your anxiety? How's your fatigue? So spiritually, how are you doing? You know, they assess the spiritual part of patients. Palliative or supportive care is given throughout the cancer experience, whenever the person is having symptoms that needs to be controlled. This can be from time of diagnosis until the end of life. It is appropriate at any age or any stage in any serious illness. Palliative supportive care is also about giving patients options and having them take part in decisions about their care. It is about assuring that their care needs are addressed, their physical, emotional, spiritual, and social needs. So that's, that in a nutshell is basically what a palliative care doctor can focus on. And sometimes palliative care doctors can go to the home and assess at home. So any questions about that? Yes.
Can I get it from my wife? I don't have a problem.
If she helps symptom management, then that's good. Then you don't need a palliative care physician. So I'm going to discuss also tips on coping. Any stage, any time, whenever you're diagnosed with a difficult situation, you tend to use coping skills that you've used in the past. So sometimes those coping skills are not necessarily the best coping skills. So things like being diagnosed with, when you're diagnosed with something like GIST, you really need to have your top-notch coping skills in place at all times, right? So these are tips on coping, okay? And some of them seem very simple, and sometimes simple works. We don't need to get very complex and very this. Sometimes, for example, keep a journal in regards to your feelings. Anyone keeps a journal? Anyone? No? Yes? One? Okay, good. That's really important. And sometimes you don't want a journal. Sometimes I'll tell patients, you know what, get a sheet of paper and just write everything, whatever. You don't even have to think about what you're writing, just let it all out. And then if you have a shredder, shred it. That way, something, whatever, no one's like finding it later on. So that's really safe. So it's really safe to kind of take a sheet of paper from time to time, write about all your anxieties, your fears, whatever comes to mind, and then just shred it. Talk to someone that is close to you and that can listen. Seek professional counseling. One of the things I want to say about professional counseling, not all if you are referred to a good counselor, it's not necessarily a good match. I always suggest to patients that going to counseling, talk to the person before you actually set up an appointment. See if they understand cancer. See if they understand what you're going through. See if you feel like they're competent in dealing with your situation. And then make that first appointment. Okay? So it's really important to kind of choose the right counselor, because not all personality matches are good. So it's like the personality of the counselor in regards to the personality of the patient. Join a support group. There's lots of chat groups, things like that. Talk to your doctor or nurse for advice. Take time to practice mindfulness. And mindfulness is really, really a beneficial tool for cancer patients in general. Mindfulness could be as simple as going on YouTube and watching a video that talks about mindfulness and has actual exercises on mindfulness. We don't have to get very complicated. You don't have to drive to a group a half hour away from your house that day just to go to a mindfulness group. Try to practice mindfulness. There's different online, different mindfulness apps. There's everything on mindfulness. Try to find one that works for you. Okay? Read or listen to audiobooks that you feel are helpful. Listen to music. Music is a really good tool to kind of help shift anxiety into kind of relaxing, and find the right type of music for you. And exercise or walking is really, really helpful. We have at Sylvester an exercise physiologist, and she really works with our patients. You can make an appointment with her, and she'll actually go with you as far as helping you in a treatment plan, an exercise plan, to help you with that. And we're starting a survivorship choir at Sylvester, so if anyone are interested, let me know, and I'll.
Do we have to be good?
I never said you had to be good. It says it's a choir. It's for patients. So, and it's about singing. And there's she's a singing director at a local church and a music therapist. She just finished her internship. She's the one who's running it, and it's for survivors. So she can help you with techniques. And it's wonderful. My bachelor's degree is in music therapy, and I'm with you on the music part and singing and things like that. So it's very uplifting, and you know, you can kind of, just the oxygen goes through the system, and it's a really wonderful thing. I don't think I have to talk any more about choosing the right doctor. I think we hashed that one this morning. That's the most important thing. Everyone's their best advocate. You're your own best advocate. Do your research. Get a second opinion if you're not comfortable with it, you know, the doctor, or you want to seek a second opinion. Do so. Advocate for yourself, and that's really important. In regards to treatment, whenever we talk about surgery, we have a lot of plans out there that have these huge deductibles, and it's just absolutely, you know, I don't know, it's just very, I see a lot of patients that struggle with the deductibles, and they need financial assistance, so please look at, if you're ever upcoming surgeries or anything like that, look at your policy, look at your plan, and try to kind of work accordingly with that. The Family Medical Leave Act is literally just protective time to go back to work. So it doesn't require your work to pay you. It doesn't require your work to, I think, put you back even in that same position. It just requires your place of, you know, where you work to kind of take you back. So that way you're not being let go while you're in your illness process, in your recovery process. Advanced directives. Does anyone know what an advanced directive is? Okay, a couple? All right. So an advanced directive is basically, there's different types of advanced directives. One is a living will. So it says, you know, if I'm incapacitated to make healthcare decisions, you know, I want this, I want that. Or a healthcare proxy makes paperwork, which means, like, if I'm incapacitated to make healthcare decisions, I want, you know, my sister Sally to make decisions for me, or I want this person, or whoever you want to make decisions for you. And I think these are really important documents. I always tell patients, I'm like, I've had one for over 10 years. I'm still around. So, you know, you really need an advance directive. It's a very healthy thing to do. And I think it's a very important thing to do. In the state of Florida, you just literally need to write it on a piece of paper, what you want, what you don't want, who you want make decisions for you, and get it witnessed with 2 signatures, non-family. Neighbors, friends, it's fine. The Agency for Healthcare Administration has an excellent advance directive. You can ask your doctor's office to see if they have advance directives. If you're about to get surgery, it's important to have an advance directive. So I can't emphasize the importance of an advance directive as a healthy process. Okay? Nothing to be scared of. It's something that's very healthy. You know, you never know what happens in life. So very important. Home care needs. Check if you're about to get surgery, check your insurance to see if home health is covered. If you need wound care after the surgery or anything like that, it's really good to know what your home health care coverage is. A lot of plans now are limiting their coverage to like 20 for the whole year. It's kind of absurd, but you know, try to hold off, you know, until like surgery, and if you need home health care and if you have a limited plan. And DME stands for durable medical equipment, which means, you know, any equipment in the house to kind of help you be as independent as possible. Targeted therapies, we talk about assistance programs, which are really out there. I don't know, there's a lot of assistance programs out there, such as Needy Meds is a good website, and I'll show you the website in the next slide. But you can just type in the name of your medication. People don't realize that there's a lot of programs out there for medications. And you can Google it, you can go to Needy Meds website, you can go to the manufacturer's website, you know, and it's really important to kind of get your copay as down as you can, because this is a long haul in regards to the targeted therapies. We talk about specialty pharmacies. Sometimes your plan is associated with a particular specialty pharmacy. So you might be using another pharmacy and your plan says if you use, a specialty pharmacy and they'll give you the name, then it'll be cheaper. So, always look at those options as well. Call your plan and say is there any cheaper pharmacy? So, and there's something called tier exceptions, and I've never seen a tier exception really happen and go through. So they will tell you tier exception, let's just change the tier and just double, triple check that is even a possibility. So this is the Needy website. You can just type in the name of the medication up there, and then it will give you the rundown on all the programs that are available. It may not have all the programs, so you may want to do a Google search, go on the pharmaceutical website, so on and so forth.
I just wanted to share, there's another one that's called alldaychemist.com.
Alldaychemist.com.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all together, alldaychemist.com.
Okay. Right. So find the programs, and just don't use your specialty medication. You'll be surprised. All your other medications have programs too. Copay cards. They'll take you 5 minutes, enroll, and it'll be amazing what you can save as far as financial. But the specialty medications typically have to go through a specialty pharmacy associated with a health plan. It needs authorization. Sometimes people think, okay, here's my Gleevec, and then next day, boom, no. Sometimes it takes some time for the authorizations to go through. There's usually a co-payment involved. And usually these specialty pharmacies will ship straight to the patient's home, and they will have to call you. Sometimes I get a call from patients, they're like, what happened? They they didn't deliver it yet. And I'm like, were they leaving you messages? And you didn't leave? Oh, I never answer I don't listen to my messages. I'm like, check your messages. So they have to talk to the patient because these are very expensive medications. They don't want to ship when you're out of town or away. And let's talk about caregiver support. And as much as we give the attention to the patient, we need to give the attention to the caregiver, because it's really important that caregivers get their support as well. We have a lot of caregivers that are very giving, and they give, and then they get exhausted. So it's really caregivers, please give yourself some time to take care of yourself. Go to community support groups, dementia center support groups. Get your own help. If you do need to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a social worker, see that person. Get your own strength. Emotional strength is just as important as physical strength. Online support groups, connecting with other families, caregivers, you need to take care of yourselves. So in regards to survivorship challenges, and there's always a misconception that, oh, you've finished treatment, you're done with, you're stable, and you're on your medication, and survivorship comes with its own anxieties, uncertainties of reoccurrence. I think that's a very big one, a very common theme. Going back to your role in the family is not as easy as you thought it would be. A lot of times the family dynamics change when someone is sick, and the roles change, and sometimes when the patient gets better and is ready to go back in their role, it kind of shifts the family dynamics once again. Going back into the workforce is another challenge, with people asking, questions that are kind of, off and odd and whatever, and or the energy that you have to put back into going to work. There's a really good website called Cancer and Careers. They do a conference every year in New York. They're very good, very, very good. A lot of the social workers listen to the webinars and to kind of help them with, help our patients get back into the workforce and deal with the challenges. They also go into the laws about work, about going back to the workforce and laws in regards to the workforce in general. So Cancer and Careers is a very good website. I really highly recommend them. And with survivorship, ensuring that you still have health insurance, that you have access to health insurance, and you have access to all the follow-up care and appointments, like the imaging, the blood work, and all of that is really important. And tips to cope with uncertainty in regards to survivorship and in regards to the anxiety of, what if it comes back? And the whole anxiety that comes with survivorship is to be informed. Learn what you can do for your health now and use that energy to focus on your wellness. So try to shift that anxiety, that energy that's really anxiety provoking, try to shift it on, okay, what can I do right now to help me, and focus on that wellness. Sing, go do some exercise. It's a matter of identifying the anxiety, shifting it, and then putting it into something positive, right? Check with your doctor with a common list of signs of recurrence in your type of cancer. The next one is kind of hard. Accept that you do not have control over some aspects of your cancer. Control what you can. Be aware of your fears and practice letting them go. Express feelings of fear or uncertainty with trusted friend or counselor. Practice being in the present moment, mindfulness. Mindfulness is a really important tool. Work towards a positive attitude. Find ways to help yourself relax. And be as physically active as you can. And I got this from Cancer Job Hunting After Treatment. This is from a Cancer Career. Tailor your resume to format your needs. Use your network. Rehearse your job interview ahead of time. Know about employment laws and that are relevant to your situation. Check in with your boss regularly if your boss knows what you went through. Just to kind of ensure that your boss, that you're doing okay, and that how things are going. And the last one is just kind of a interesting. It's a fact, and it really it's more than 10 million people in the U.S. are cancer survivors, and many are in the prime of their working years when cancer is diagnosed. So you're not alone in that sense. There's a lot of cancer patients out there. And the last slide I have is just support services that might be available in I don't know if you're in a cancer center. If you're not, check with your insurance to see where you can go to get these types of support. But these are just some things that we do have at the Cancer Center at Sylvester. We have social work, psychiatry, psychology, massage therapy, acupuncture, the exercise physiologist, dietitians, palliative care doctors, music therapy, arts and medicine programs, yoga, mind-body wellness programs, and pet therapy, and we have an American Cancer Society Resource Center. And that's it. Please feel free to contact me, email me. If you have any further questions or something comes up, I am available. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know.